Radio DePaul is Chicago's College Connection.
Hello and welcome to Dylan's Discourse here on Radio DePaul, Chicago's College Connection. I'm your host, Dylan Cohn, and today I am joined by my very good friend, Connor Mudd.
Hello.
Yes. Woohoo. We're all up in the studio. And today's episode, we are going to be talking about shows that impress us, what being a platform means to both Connor and I, and discussing the top 10 most produced musicals in the U.S. And if we have time, shows we personally would want to produce. Because little known fact, we both in some aspect want to be a producer of sorts. And so with that being said, we have a little tradition on the show where when I bring guests in, we do a little side-by-side Susan Blackwell moment. If y'all don't know her series, do look her up. She's just the best. And what she does is she does a 30-second life story. So to introduce you all to my good friend Connor, we are going to do the same. Connor, are you ready?
Oh yeah, I'm so ready.
Connor is like state recognized speech debate moment.
Yeah. I was in public forum debate back in high school, state recognized. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. So he knows what he's doing. So with that being said, there's 30 seconds on the clock. Give us your whole life story. Don't leave out the good parts. Ready? Go.
All right, so I'm Connor Mudd. I'm from Littleton, Colorado. It's a little town just south of Denver, Colorado. I am a licensed realtor, ordained minister, and amateur boat captain. That's right, you heard correctly, boat captain. I'm studying marketing and economics at DePaul University, but my true passion is performing arts. I play guitar, banjo, ukulele. If it has strings, I can probably play it unless it's a cello. Other than that, I really like to spend my time taking long walks on the beach and long walks on the street. I just like walking.
And that's time. Wow, that was a nice full little scoop into. You got every license in the world, don't you?
Oh, I'm getting there. I still gotta get my bartending license and my notary license, and then I'll be good.
So if you were to title your little autobiography moment, what would you call it?
Probably the short yet interesting life of Mudd.
That's a good one. That is a good title. So with that all being said, we're going to talk a little bit we're going to expand a bit on kind of the last points you were making here, where you talked about your passion for performing arts. Obviously you're not majoring in performing arts. So where do the two connect?
Well, money. The goal right now is to make enough money that I can help my friends produce their art. Because while I do enjoy the arts myself, I really enjoy the stuff that I'm seeing my friends do. I've got friends who want to produce music, other friends who are writing scripts for TV shows, others who are doing movie score stuff right now. And I'd really like to help give them the opportunity in the future to kind of expand on their ideas. And the way to do that is by giving them money. So I just got to get money first, and that's how it all connects.
So what would you say your end goal is?
I would really like to start a production company. It was originally, I was thinking of calling it Small Time Productions because I think it'd be funny to hit the big time with small time. But as it's moving forward, it's looking like it will probably be called White Noise Productions. That's what I've done a little bit of music producing with some of my friends, just in our dorm room, just messing around. But yeah, it's looking like in the future I'd really like to expand that aspect of my life and start a company.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, where you see, there's like a saying on, sorry, there was like a weird sound in the headphones. There's like a saying where it's like you rise to the top with the people around you and you bring them up with you. And obviously it's worded better than that, but that kind of sentiment really resonates with me personally in that, I have this radio show. It is a platform, and I love bringing people on and talking about what they're doing and getting the word out there. Like, for instance, last week I had my director and co-star, I'm not a star in the show, and castmate on for Shrek, which is playing August 9th through 12th. Go get your tickets. I post about it all the time. And just to hear what they're working on, their individual projects, as well as the projects we work on together, it's really, I love being a platform for other artists. And if anyone's listening out there and they're like, hey, I'm doing a cool thing coming up, seriously, feel free to reach out for me. I would love to have you on the show and talk about what you do, what you like, what you want to do. And so that's kind of what the Discourse is all about here. So what would you say, because you have done a lot of work in theater?
Yes, it was just a weird amount. Just all in high school and then some college stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. What would you say impresses you, or what do you love about the art form of theater?
I love how it kind of brings everything together, because you can have really wonderful musicians working with really talented actors, working with really talented dancers, and then you could have a structural engineer who designed the set, because no other art form really brings all of that together. Mm-hmm. Which that's what really impresses me when I see something so cohesive.
Yeah. Personally, I really love the suspension of disbelief that from an audience perspective, it doesn't matter. Like, you bring your own personal history to a show, and then when you're sitting in a show and it takes you into another world, yeah, you may not have the exact same experiences as the characters you're watching, but you see these people and you relate to them, and you call back to a time where you experienced a similar thing, and you see how they persevere through it. And it's just such a captivating art. And so, all that being said, I think there are a lot of aspects of theater that get really recognized, such as actors and their performances and music. Obviously, that all gets recognized in theater, but sometimes there are aspects that kind of get swept under the rug, and not in like they're not appreciated, because obviously there are certain Tonys for a lot of what we're going to be talking about next, but in popular media, a lot of the times they focus in on one or a few aspects of a show where people like-minded people like us really love the nitty-gritty and the nuance and the small details that don't really matter in the big scheme of things, but sometimes you see like a prop in a show and you're like, that's a dope prop. Yeah. Where did they get that? Oh yeah. So all that being said, we're gonna take a quick song break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about aspects of shows that may not always get the recognition they deserve, but we just want to nerd out a little bit. So with that being said, here is a song I've been really digging. This is What I Was Born to Do from Bring It On the Musical. Welcome back to Dylan's Discourse here on Radio DePaul, Chicago's College Connection. I'm your host, Dylan Cohn, and today I'm joined by my good pal, Connor Mudd.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Hey, howdy, hey. So that last song was What I Was Born to Do from Bring It On the Musical. Fun little tidbit here. The music was by Tom Kitt, who did the music for Next to Normal, and the lyrics are by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which you might have heard him in there. He had a little moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So it was interesting. Connor and I were just being nerds, as we are, and we were talking about how there are little nuances from the show and picking out little details, and we love the drums and the rhythm and all this fun stuff. So good. So with that being said, we're going to go and nerd out for a little longer here. We have a list of aspects of shows that impress us, as well as some supporting evidence with shows that we see these aspects in, and we're just gonna dish, if we may. Mm-hmm. So the first aspect of theater that impresses us, or we think is like dope, and we want to just chat on for a moment, is theater in the round or thrust stages. Now, for those who don't really know what that is, you're good, don't worry. Theater in the round is when the audience completely surrounds the stage, and a lot of the times turnstiles are used on turnstiles. Is that even the word?
Like a lazy Susan.
Yes.
Just a big lazy Susan on stage.
So a lot of the times the stage itself will turn. Thrust stages are kind of like if you think of how you would draw a mountain in second grade.
Yeah, like a big lump.
Big old lump. That face down, that's your stage. And a lot of the times when you do thrust stages or you do theater in the round, you have to get really creative. especially because the audience is everywhere. So they're really, if you think shows aren't intimate enough when people are going through these raw emotions, imagine being like surrounded by the audience. You really have to bring them in, or else you're defeating the purpose of theater in the round or thrust stages. So the first example I have written down here is Fun Home. How familiar are you with Fun Home?
I've listened to a few of the songs. I know a little bit of the concepts of it, but I haven't actually seen any of the stage and stuff, so I'm interested to hear about it.
It's really cool. So the original Broadway production, I actually saw a touring company, so they didn't do it in the round just because, you know, you get the theater you get and you don't throw fit. But the original Broadway company had it set in the round. And the big climactic song is Telephone Wire for Fun Home. And it's this big, the whole show is leading up to this where Al kind of meta confronts herself and her dad into like, she confronts her past self, super meta, to say like, say something to your dad. I don't want to spoil anything, but I would just go listen to it. Go do yourself a favor.
I've really enjoyed the stuff I've listened to. So
yeah, it's good stuff all around.
Give it a listen.
But because it's this really pinnacle moment and they're in a car together and it's so intimate when they start and you just see they're sitting in a car and it's like, it's so tense from the moment they start up until the end of the show, really. So to really emphasize that they're in the car and they're sitting and then the stage starts to turn and you just see them like go through these flashes and these different little vignettes of like almost miniature scenes where she's trying to confront him, but it's hard and they're in the car and they're moving and they're actually moving. So it just really emphasizes that drive and that awkward tension and it's so good. So good. All around so good. Yes.
Yeah, that's probably the best part of having a theater in the round is that audience, like not interaction, but that audience pressure on you.
Yeah.
It really elevates the scene to the next level because it has to. Because like you can't necessarily see everyone, but everyone can see you. It's very difficult to do, but very impressive.
Yeah. Even from a directing standpoint, you have to be so cognizant of the fact that the audience is everywhere. So you can't not that have facing out as is like a cop out, but like facing out is facing everywhere. So from a directing standpoint, you have to be so creative. And someone who has really done that well is Michael Arden, who directed the revival of Once on This Island, which won Best Tony Award. Yep.
Oh, yeah,
which
it was the best Tony.
Just the nicest Tony you've ever met. It won Best Revival of a Musical this year, and it so deserved it. They were also in the round and they had like sand on the stage and like people were barefoot and like the costumes for the gods, the water god.
I do not remember
blanking.
The names.
Alas.
But wasn't it rectangular as well? So it wasn't like a conventional round. It was like a box round.
Yeah, it was such a strange shape. And on top of it being in the round, a lot of the costumes, I just want to point out, were super distressed, and the water god, whose name I'm blanking on, okay, whatever, may he rest, his costume was like distressed and polluted, and Michael Arden just has such a vision with the shows he does. I think he's maybe the best director of like our like time up and coming. He's just so smart, and he did Deaf West Spring Awakening as well, which took American Sign Language and made it into choreography and like made it a medium of storytelling, which of course it is because it is a visual art, the ASL, but he was just it was so good.
It was brilliantly done. Some of the most gorgeous choreography, and because it's all the lyrics that they are basically not they're doing ASL with the lyrics, and so it really fits with the story as well.
Yeah. What's cool about Deaf West Spring Awakening, and I'll stop harping because I could really talk about it forever, is that they don't do it verbatim just to have it be interpretation. They take loose translations and like really make it art. And I just cannot praise Michael Arden enough. He is the man. Do you want to talk about Sweeney Todd?
Oh yeah, I saw like it was a thrust production of Sweeney Todd. It was in this tiny theater in Denver, and it really, because Sweeney Todd has to have such an interactive set. There has to be the sewer aspect, the chair aspect. Everything had to move very precisely, and there wasn't really much of a backstage because it was a small like production area. So seeing it in a thrust setting, I kind of had like corner seats, but everyone kind of had to cheat all directions in the same way because they're covered basically on three sides. Only one side they don't have to like cheat to,
Right.
Which is how it differs from in the round. But really seeing the Sweeney interacting with not only the audience and kind of grasping everyone in the whole range, he also had to grapple with the different levels on the set that you don't necessarily have to do in a traditional stage. It was very impressive to watch. That whole show was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, everything about it had a really interesting orchestra aspect as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we have later, our next little topic is having the pit on stage for shows, which, first of all, is so good.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get to that in a moment. With that, I just want to add Hamilton. Of course, everyone knows the iconic Satisfied and how to really emulate going back in time and experiencing something the audience has already seen, but from a different perspective, just by having the table, how the tables have turned. But literally, so smart. So smart. Especially what wows me the most about everything is that they go through everything you've just seen backwards. So you literally go back in time to what is actually like 2 numbers ago, but for the character is like an entire life.
Yeah, it's beautifully done. If you haven't seen Hamilton yet, who are you?
Go see Hamilton.
Go watch that because it's hard to explain. It's so beautiful and
good stuff.
Good things.
Yes, I also saw a production at the Shakespeare Theatre over at Navy Pier of Love Labour's Lost, and they did it on a thrust stage. And what was interesting about that is there's a lot of hiding in Love Labour's Lost. There's a lot of like sneaking around. But it's kind of hard to do. It's hard to conceptualize because you have like the little back area, but like 90% of the stage is the thrust itself. So how do you work with that? They had, for their set, they had like trees on the side and they would like go to the top of the trees. And like the top of the trees like were over the thrust.
Wow.
I don't know how they did it, but it was genius. It was just like and where I was sitting was like beside the tree, so like I could see like people going up and like anchoring themselves on the side and hanging over almost. It was really dope.
That's so cool. I mean, there's so many fun things you can do with a stage like that.
Yeah. I kind of like it because it forces you to get creative.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is like all right, you just need the kick in the butt, I guess.
True that.
Yeah. So our next little aspect of theater is having the pit on stage. Do you want to carry on?
Because I loved this Sweeney Todd production I saw. It was phenomenal. Because they didn't want to tour with a full pit orchestra, they got a local Colorado band. I've seen most of the theater I've seen and done has been in Denver. But they got this band, Devotchka, who you might have heard their work. They did some songs for the soundtrack of Little Miss Sunshine. So they're kind of big, but it's just like a sousaphone, an accordion, and I think like a cellist. So they and then a piano player were the entire pit. So the piano player kind of sat on the edge, and Devotchka is known for kind of being steampunk and weird, and Sweeney Todd is known for kind of being a little steampunk and weird. So they would come on stage with their sousaphone and accordion, and they'd play along like at the start, and then they'd disappear for a little bit and keep playing, but like you couldn't see them, and then they'd hide in the back and be in different scenes as extras. It was really well done because it was an unconventional way to have the music in a show, and then it integrated it really well with the show itself. Yeah. And that's something I haven't seen that in any other show, just anywhere else. It was so good.
Shout out to Devotchka. I feel like if there's a show to do that kind of like weird interpretation of what a pit looks like, it's Sweeney Todd. I feel like Sweeney Todd itself, like, just gives you so much leeway to just make it so weird.
Yeah.
But in the best way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. We are just about halfway through, so we're going to take a little commercial break. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion about pits on stage and why that's the dopest. So stay tuned.
Make it your summer at Harper College in Palatine, Illinois. If you're home for summer break, get some classes out of the way. Transfer your summer credit back to DePaul and reach your degree faster. Choose from in-demand intro classes in stats, social sciences, math, English, and more. Plus, hundreds of online classes are available. Summer sessions start June 4th. For a list of popular DePaul transfer courses, visit harpercollege.edu/summerdepal.
Wish you could bring Radio DePaul with you everywhere you go? Well, now you can with the Radio DePaul mobile app. Download this easy-to-use, free app from the App Store or Google Play to listen live. With the portability of a phone and the simplicity of pushing buttons, Radio DePaul satisfies all your audio needs straight from your pocket. From the main station to sports, news, and podcasts, your entertainment options are endless. Download now and try not to break your phone in excitement.
This message brought to you by Radio DePaul, Chicago's College Connection.
Radio DePaul is Chicago's College Connection.
And we're back. Thank you, commercials, for giving us this platform. Platforms for platforms. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So back to our discussion. Pits on stage. Let me tell you about my production of Little Shop. Little Shop of Horrors was one of my favorite shows that I did in high school. I was the voice of Audrey 2, the plant.
Such a good role.
So fun. So fun. And so what we did was we built like a little crevice on stage because the pit was just drums, guitar, bass, keys, Dylan. I was literally, because I wasn't in the plant. I couldn't do both. That's just illogical.
Yeah.
Not true. False. So what we did was we were all in this corner on the stage, and it was the director closest to the audience, but it was covered by a wall. And then everyone, and then I was at the back of the pit so I could have the sight line of the plant, but I was just standing there with a mic on a stand. And so I was with the pit, and so for all the Audrey 2 songs, we were just jamming in a little hut.
That's awesome.
It was so awesome. It was probably the most fun I'll ever have in a production, just because it was like no stress, and like the people in the pit were just phenomenal musicians, and so we could really play with everything we were doing. And they couldn't do it as much with other numbers, because you know everyone's on stage, and but like I was right there, so we could do really whatever we wanted, and it was fire. I will say it was a very good performance.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to do that show. I've almost done that show now twice, and it's gotten canceled like before it even hit fruition.
That's exactly what happened to me with Seussical the Musical. I have signed up to do it on like 3 different occasions, and each time, I guess I'm the only one who wants to do Seussical at this point. But
and I don't.
I was also in elementary school, so we'll cut me some slack here.
Yeah.
But no one wanted to do Seussical but me. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Rock of Ages. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's my guilty pleasure show. I love Rock of Ages. Everyone gives Rock of Ages a lot of crap because it's just a jukebox musical. But I saw the touring production one year. It came out in like April, and it was just, they had a live 70s hair rock band on stage that toured with the show, and so it felt like an actual rock concert because they used songs from Def Leppard, AC/DC. They used so many songs in that show that it was like seeing a really awesome cover band with a little bit of story sprinkled in, which makes a cover band a lot better if you have a plot line. And it because the whole show takes place in a music venue, so it brought everything into its own reality. having a pit, like a conventional pit, just like a rock band off stage, would not be nearly as fun. So they typically have that full guitar, bass, drums, a full 4-piece set back there, maybe 2 guitars. It varies song to song. It's a whole thing. It's very exciting to watch. I recommend, if you haven't seen the movie, you probably don't need to, but it's good. It's
fair.
If you like Tom Cruise a lot, and I like Tom Cruise a lot, then watch the movie. If you don't like Tom Cruise, there's no reason to. Either way, good show, has a pit on stage, very enjoyable.
Yeah, I will say with a lot of jukebox musicals is that they do get a lot of grief, but in their defense, a lot of the time, if you see many of the artists that these jukebox musicals are written about, no shade, no tea, no shade, but a lot of the times these artists are at an age where they cannot give the performances that they used to, and so having a jukebox musical isn't the worst idea.
Yeah, no shade to Def Leppard. I'm sure they're fine live today, but like, how old are they? Like 60, 70? So no 70? Shade to them. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know Def Leppard.
Yeah. We're theater people. We don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a reason that people get paid to perform. And sometimes it's worth it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So for this next bullet point, I will be going on a 5-minute tangent because I have written down Great Comet. Great Comet, everyone tunes out.
I love it.
Great Comet is the show that inspires me the most, just in its overall composition. Not even like, the story could be about anything, but the composition of how they made the show what it is, oh God, I have no words. I really don't. So, for starters, the story is based off of this idea. Well, it's based off a sliver of War and Peace, but the way Dave Malloy interpreted it as a musical was putting it in a Russian supper club. So when they were first in like a tent at Ars Nova, they would give people at their tables vodka, and this part continued on where they would give people pierogies and letters for the song Letters and shakers, and it was just so intimate. And there are songs where 2 cast members can be singing across the table and you're there, like you are a part of it. There are no boundaries. Talking about having a pit on stage, so like many of the cast members play instruments and will go to the mezzanine all the way above, like they'll go everywhere, and like Balaga takes place in the mezzanine the whole song, like he runs through the mezzanine. I don't think people realize that.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's
right?
Insane.
And he runs from the mezzanine all the way down to the stage because everyone, do yourself a favor. Google pictures of Great Comet set. There are 1,900 light cues in that show.
Wow.
Right?
That's insane.
Could you imagine being that stage manager and being like, cue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, go. Like, you just gotta get them all out there.
Yeah.
There are nearly 1,000 light bulbs, 37 chandeliers. The whole walk to the stage is transformed into a bomb shelter to show that it's like in the middle of the war, and then you walk into this lush Russian supper club, and it's red and gorgeous and beautiful, and the theater is like stairs throughout the entire thing, so cast members have to run everywhere, and it's
insane.
It's truly a work of genius. This is Dave Malloy's magnum opus, and if you have been friends with me and you haven't heard me talk about Great Comet, you're probably lying to yourself. So, I could talk forever about the show. It is just so impressive. Like, seriously, YouTube Mimi Lin Great Comet interview, because she won the Tony for her set design. And first of all, Great Comet deserved a lot more, but also she is so wickedly smart. So smart. Unbelievable. I will stop harping on Great Comet. Yeah.
It's It's so good.
It is.
I didn't realize Balaga was in the Balaga's crazy. That's
right. He's running and jumping around and screaming.
like in the that's crazy. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
There are so many nuances and like little details that I have the Big Great Comic book. My friend gave it to me for my graduation, and it was just like, oh, I love every single time you read anything. It's like they do that too. Like they're truly unbelievable. Like, go listen to Great Comic. Go support Dave Malloy. He's making an adaptation of Moby Dick.
That'll be good.
That will be really cool. Yeah. So that's for our little bit on having the pit on stage. Just a few things I want to touch on real quick is just plot composition and how you choose to tell a story, which particularly interests me, and that's kind of the realm of theater I want to get into because I think there are a lot of really cool ways to tell stories. For instance, 21 Chump Street is written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's just having a time on this episode today. But it's an adaptation of a true news story. 80 to 90% of the story is of the lyrics are verbatim interview quotes pulled from this story from This American Life. And he made it into a musical, and I can't even say it's so authentic because it literally is this story. Yeah. And I think it's such a unique way of telling a story in that you see these characters and you see new life breathed into this wall of text that it's easy to ignore it. But when you're there and you're experiencing it, and then you know that this is a true story, this actually happened, it's just the coolest thing ever. It's on YouTube. It's free. It's like 20 minutes. You will not regret it. Go listen to 21 Chump Street. And then I just want to touch on this real quick, but Merrily We Roll Along, probably Sondheim's biggest flop. I'll be honest. It did not do well on Broadway, but that's because it was not ready for Broadway when it went there. So I would like to see it brought back a third time. Oh. The world just needs Merrily We Roll Along. It's so cool. So basically, it's told in reverse chronological order. So the last song is actually like, okay, let me try again. The first song is the last moment in Franklin Shepherd's life. And then throughout the show, it goes back in time to show how he became this very successful lyricist. I think he's the lyricist for movies, like movie scores. Anyway, irrelevant. Oh, he's a movie producer. Anyway, sorry. Just really getting caught up because I'm very passionate about the show and I want to get it right. But the very last song is like him meeting his two best friends who throughout the show you see his trials and tribulations and you have a love-hate relationship. And then at the very end, you just see his desire to be someone and to make a difference and to go through that emotional journey backwards. It's kind of like
Last 5 years?
Thank you.
Like half of Last 5 years.
Half of Last 5 years is another one because half of it is told like Merrily We Roll Along in that it's backwards for Kathy, but for Jamie it's told in normal chronological order. So you kind of get that cross happening in the middle. And
it's a two-person show and there's never a true duet, which is terrifying. It'd be so hard to be in or direct or any part of that. It'd be terrifying. But
it'd be a cool one to direct for sure.
Yeah.
No. But go listen to Merrily We Roll Along. Go listen to, well, if you're in a specific mood, go listen to Last 5 Years. If you're in a good mood, don't listen to Last 5 Years.
Yeah, no, it's very sad. But Lin-Manuel was in Merrily We Roll Along as well.
He was in like the concert version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was with lots of Lin-Manuel today.
I know, he's just taking over Dylan's Discourse today.
He's taking over the world.
Yeah. So then we have some miscellaneous moments in theater that really wow us. Do you want to talk about Book of Mormon?
Yeah, I've seen Book of Mormon twice now, and both times in Turn It Off, there is a very quick costume change, if you haven't seen it, that goes into a tap break, and I have no idea how it's done. basically they are, dancing around, and then they're all in a line, and then guy claps, the lights go off for a split second, and the very next second they're all wearing these pink sparkly vests. And I don't know how it's done, and I missed, there was a seminar that kind of like went behind the scenes, kind of taught how it was done, and I wasn't able to go to that. And there was like, because you got to learn a little bit of the choreography as well, and so it's all very intense. But seeing the show live, there's no way to understand how that very quick moment of quick change happens. I've been speculating for years, is it a fly system? Do they fly the vests in the half second in the dark and somehow it's perfectly on? Is it like a tear-off shirt? I have no idea.
We may never know.
Oh, somebody out there has to know, but it's like, is it magnets? Is it something with, does someone throw them up to them? Like, if you haven't seen Book of Mormon, I think it's touring again, but holy cow, there's so much going on with that scene, and that show in general is pretty fun to watch from a choreography and a song standpoint. But that one quick change gets me every time.
It's so strange. Don't bring grandma to that one though.
Don't, yeah. If my grandma's listening, I'm sorry my dad brought you to see Book of Mormon. If my dad's listening, why?
We just want to talk. Yeah.
It's not the right show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We are talking.
Oh, yeah, we're talking
we
a
are
lot.
just chatting away. I'm not mad, but just we, of course, if we're talking about wows of musical theater, we can't go around talking about Wicked and Defying Gravity. Oof. Literally the pinnacle of wow moments in musical theater.
Yeah.
I mean, that there's like literally nothing I could say.
Yeah, it's just it just happens.
She flies.
Yeah.
She flies, and you cannot beat it. And it's just simply amazing, outstanding.
So good.
The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
I'm going to make that reference every episode from here on out.
Good.
And then Curious Incident, I just want to touch on real quick. I can't even describe it because it's so many tech things that I wouldn't even know how to begin to describe. I wish my friend Kyle Greenberg was here. He really knows how to talk about this, but it is like every tech kid's dream show. It is like lights, all of them, like sound, everything. Like it's like every single aspect of tech you could imagine amplified to 100, because it's told through the perspective of someone who has autism. So it really heightens every sensory, because that is, and they worked a lot with people who have autism to make sure that this is an authentic telling of someone's story who has autism. And it's just so brilliant.
It's so good. If you haven't seen pictures of the set,
Google everything we're talking about here, I guess, is what we're saying.
Yeah, because a lot of these are visual things, but like it's so many lights in the Curious Incident. It's amazing.
The whole end sequence, like the show is over and he comes back on stage just to talk about how he worked through a math problem, and there's absolutely no need for it, but it's just, you could tell they put some serious money in these effects. Like it's like these projections are unreal, and it's just so cool. If you ever get the opportunity, this is the show you should be seeing. Like, yeah, you could see like all the old school, you could see Cats, I guess, but like go see Curious Incident if you ever get the opportunity. Just really cool overall show. Same with SpongeBob, actually. If I were in New York right now and I were given the option of seeing any of the new shows, well, first of all, I'd see Once on This Island, because that's just, they really did that.
There's live animals there. Like,
yeah,
you get to see a goat.
They got goats.
Yeah.
They have goats.
Goats and chickens and stuff.
But SpongeBob is one to see for sure, because every step SpongeBob and other characters take is a sound cue, because they have the little squeak when they step, but it's like every single step.
Jeez.
Could you imagine being in the sound booth and just like loving your job?
You'd really have to love your job.
You really have to.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if they get a kick out of that, if it's just like so much that it's just like thing after thing after thing after thing. Yeah.
Jeez.
Another show that we find very impressive and is kind of in the round. If it's not in the round, it's definitely immersive for sure.
Yeah, because it's not quite thrust. It's not quite in the round. It is a circle.
Of sorts.
It is round.
Yeah. We're talking about Hadestown, which is going to be coming to Broadway soon. I'm certain. Yeah. I think it's going to be a big name in the 2019 Tony Awards. So keep your eyes out for Hadestown. Here is a song from that show called Hey Little Songbird.
Radio DePaul is Chicago's College Connection.
Welcome back to Dylan's Discourse here on Radio DePaul, Chicago's College Connection. I'm your host, Dylan Cohn, and today I'm joined by my friend Connor Mudd.
It's a me.
It's a him, yes. So we plan this little game. Actually, today this article came out on Playbill.com, so amazing timing on everyone's part, really.
Truly.
So I have given Connor a list of, from Playbill.com, the top 10 most produced high school plays and musicals. Well, this is just a list of the musicals of the 2017-18 school year. Over 4,000 high schools participated in this 80th annual survey, which was conducted by the Educational Theater Association. So I'm going to read through Connor's guesses, and then I'm going to read the real thing, and we're going to see if he knows his stuff. This is
probably all wrong.
No, this is not a testament of anyone's intelligence at all. Connor's a very smart man. Okay. So Connor's guesses in order are Beauty and the Beast, Into the Woods, Little Mermaid, Seussical the Musical, Shrek the Musical, The Addams Family, Little Shop of Horrors, The Wizard of Oz, Annie, and then Cinderella.
Yeah, I feel like I have confidence in my top choice because I feel like everyone and their mother does Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I also told you that you
told me over the break. But I'm
the
very
scenes.
confident.
Yeah, no, Beauty and the Beast. Everyone and their second cousin twice removed has been in Beauty and the Beast, except for me.
Yeah, I haven't done it either. Well, my school did it the year I left. Yeah,
has my school done it? I don't know.
Shout out to Kate Willers and continue.
Yeah, so I say for the most part you have a pretty good guess. So here is the true list. Number 1, Beauty and the Beast. We both got that correct. Number 2, which Connor had at number 6, is the Addams Family.
Oh, really? Wow, that's very high.
An interesting thing about the Addams Family in this list is that for the past 3 years, it's been at number 1.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's because when the rights first came out, everyone flocked to it because it was a pop musical with an old group of characters that parents would love to see. And then because of the pop influence, students would want to see. Wow. So I feel like Addams Family came out of the gates the moment the licensing was allowed. Like everyone flocked to it. And so it was super popular. But now we see this year it has fallen from its high horse to second place.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one show on this list that we've both done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's a fun show to be in. It's solid.
I had a lot of fun being in it.
Good for high school students.
Yeah. I do think it would be interesting to take a step away from Addams Family just because it is like the odds of you doing it is so high now, and like it's such an oversaturated show, and you can't really bring a lot of new things to it just because it is such a well-rounded show. Anyway, next. Number 3 is Little Mermaid, which Connor got correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone does Little Mermaid. Please stop. Please. Number 4 is Into the Woods, which
I had it number 2, right? You
had Into the Woods at number 2, yeah. So close.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I feel everyone does Into the Woods. It's just a staple, and it's just a Sondheim show that's done so right, and that of course you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Cinderella.
I put Cinderella at like 10.
Yeah, you put Cinderella dead last.
I have not seen a high school, and at least in my area, like nobody did Cinderella.
Oh my gosh, there are so many northern Midwestern schools who do Cinderella.
Oh. Yeah.
It's so much Cinderella, which we're not mad at, but also like, come on now. Number 6 is Shrek, which you had at number 5, so that's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, that was close.
Yeah,
I mean, you're in Shrek now.
Thank you, Segue.
Exciting.
I am in Shrek. I post about it nonstop. Get your tickets. Go to Surging Film and Theatrics, or you could just go directly. Yeah, go to surgingfilms.com and use promo code Dylan, all caps, for $10 off your tickets. Come see me. It's August 9th through the 12th, so it's coming up.
Oh yeah, real soon.
Yeah, real soon.
She's the star. She's Mama
Bear. Yeah. My big debut. But no, it actually is a lot of fun, and everyone's super, super talented. And it's number 5 on the list, so take that. Take that, Annie.
Yeah, do people still listen to Annie? Do people still do Annie? Like, I thought that kind of...
I think people do Annie when they have an older voice teacher, and it's like the one show that they think kids do.
Yeah,
that's tea. That's actual tea.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to Annie. Annie's last. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I said it. But 10 out of the whole 4,000 schools is not bad. That's still very good. Anyway, number 7 is Seussical, which you had at 4, but hey.
I mean,
you're confident.
I had some faith in Seussical. I don't love Seussical, but I've seen there's been probably 4 or 5 different productions in the Denver metro area going on at any given moment.
All times.
It's constant. It's just nonstop Seussical.
Yeah, it's a cute show, so I don't give anyone any grief for doing it.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Little Shop, which me and Connor were both in.
Kind of. I was almost in it. Never did end up being in it.
Right, because you big mama. May he rest. Yeah. You had Little Shop at 7, so that's pretty good. You did pretty good at this for the most part. Number 9, you had Wizard of Oz, or they have Wizard of Oz. Number 9 is Wizard of Oz. Period. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just doing Wizard of Oz is just like, we can't do Wicked, so.
It's almost Wicked.
You guys should, if you're thinking of doing Wizard of Oz, do yourself a favor and just do He's on down the road. Oz? Is it just Oz?
Is it
just
The Wiz?
The Wiz. Thank you. Wow. Why did I take the biggest L of all times right there?
The music?
Just do Oz, the one about
Oz the Great and Powerful, starring James Franco.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Coming soon to Broadway. Yeah. And then the last one, Annie.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a song.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are kind of running out of time here. We have so much more to talk about.
Oh, there's so much.
We'll just have to continue this conversation at another time. But thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Dylan's Discourse, Connor.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been a true treat. To play you guys out, here is a great little ditty that I can't get out of my head. It's Goodbye from Catch Me If You Can with the wonderful Aaron Tveit. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be here same time next week. Actually, just kidding. I'm going to be in Shrek next week, so I'll see you in 2 weeks. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, y'all.